Hi, I'm Kristin Omdahl and welcome back to my studio. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make the beautiful Sabrina Motif Topper Vest. This pattern is available as a single download as well as part of my brand new crochet book called Layers Crochet. There's information about both of those items in the video description below. The Sabrina vest has bold graphic motifs that aren't just for shawls. Combine triangles and squares of the same motif stitch pattern to create a simple bohemian vest topper. The size range is generous and the style is flowy. The Sabrina is meant to be worn with plenty of ease. The tassel ties pull it all together. This pattern features Be So Sporty yarn, which is my 100% bamboo #2 sport weight yarn. This is shown in colorway Crushed Berries, and I hand dye all of the beautiful colors of this yarn in my Florida studio. In this video, I'm going to show you how to navigate the pattern, how to understand the different sizes of schematics, how to read all of the crochet charts, and show you some tips and tricks for joining the motifs. Let's get started. The pattern begins with a list of what you'll need. Notice that the yardage is shown generically first before I tell you how many balls of Be So Sporty yarn to use. And that's because if you wanted to substitute a different yarn, whether it's one of my other #2 sport weight yarns or a completely different yarn, this will tell you how many yards or meters you'll need to make every size. You'll also need either a G6 or an H8 size crochet hook, yarn needle, scissors, and a piece of cardboard for making the tassels. Then again, down here it tells you how many balls you'll need of Be So Sporty yarn for whichever size you're making. And then we come to the gauge. Now I know some people don't like to talk about gauge swatches, and I get it. But when you're making garments, it is extremely important to know what your gauge is. And it's actually quite interesting in this project because our gauge is different for different sizes of this project. Because of the nature of the size of the motifs of this project, in order to create consistent sizing to do lots of sizes for the project, we needed to change size of the motif every other size. I'll explain it when we get a little further along. So we have 6 sizes for the project: small, medium, large, XL, 2X, and 3X, or 36, 40, 45, 50, 54, and 60-inch bust. And if you follow metric sizes and numbers, all of that is listed here as well. So what we're doing is using the smaller motif or smaller gauge for sizes small, large, and 2X, and then the larger motif or larger gauge for medium, XL, and 3X, so every other size. So if you're doing the small, large, and 2X size, you're going to want your motif gauge to be 4.5 inches wide. If you're doing sizes medium, extra large, or 3X, you're going to want to have a 5-inch gauge for one of your motifs after it's blocked. And I'll show you what that looks like. So I have our first motif done in both a size G6 crochet hook and an H8 crochet hook. And you can see this one is 4.5 inches wide and this one is 5 inches wide. And they look relatively the same, but this one is going to make a significantly larger project than this one. So you want to make sure that you get your gauge swatch, and it does not matter if you use the same size crochet hook I've used. You may have a tighter or looser gauge than I have, so whichever size you're making, you just want to make sure that your motif is either 4.5 inches wide or 5 inches wide for whatever size you're making. The next part of the pattern that you'll need to know is the stitch guide. It tells you what stitches we'll be using in the project: slip stitch, chain, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, and 2 double crochet cluster. These are explained in the glossary if you have Layers Crochet book, or they're also explained in my really wonderful playlist of stitch glossary videos here on YouTube, and you can find a link to that playlist in the video description where you can watch an individual video on each of these stitches. Then I also have some special stitches written out. So we have a chain 3 join, a chain 7 join, and a slip stitch join. And basically what this means is that on any given motif that has a chain 3 that needs to be joined to another motif, if it's a side that's joining, that chain 3 gets converted to a chain 3 join, which ultimately is a chain 1 slip stitch to the adjacent motif's chain space, chain 1. So that chain 1 slip stitch chain 1 is the equivalent of the chain 3 that it's replacing. And that's also the case with the chain 7 join. It's chain 3 slip stitch to the adjacent motif's chain space, chain 3, so that the chain 3 slip stitch chain 3 is the equivalent of a chain 7. And a slip stitch join actually just replaces a chain 1. So anywhere there's a chain 1 that needs to be joined to an adjacent motif, you replace the chain 1 with a slip stitch. So then the next part of the pattern to follow along is in the schematic. And the schematic will show you what kind of motifs to make and also where to join them. So we have 3 different versions of the motif that we're going to be using in this project. We're going to be using square and triangle motifs. There's 2 triangle motifs on either side of the front neck edge and 4 hip ease at the bottom of each side of the vest. On the 2 medium sizes, not medium, on the large and extra large size, we also have some half motifs. And I'll show you what those look like when we get to the charts on the following page. Oh, and we also use those again at the neck edge on the 2X and 3X size. So they're used in the front here and along the neck edge here. Then we have all of those charts listed here in the pattern. Obviously there's the line-by-line instructions for each of the motifs, but then the charts are also a handy way to take a look at each round and the color changes so that you can see the difference from round to round of what the instructions are. There is also a key for each of the charts. And then at the back of the pattern, we also have a joining motif chart. And this shows you where and how you join the different motifs together. Let's make a square motif together. First, we're going to do a chain 6 and slip stitch to the first chain at the beginning of the round to join. And we'll start by tying our yarn to our crochet hook. You can use a slip knot, square knot, doesn't matter, whichever way you like to do it is perfectly fine, and we'll chain 6. And slip stitch to the first chain at the beginning to join. Now we'll come back to our chart and look at what row 1 says. On row 1, we're going to do a chain 3 and a double crochet. Together they count as our first cluster stitch. Chain 2, then a 2 double crochet cluster in the chain 6 ring, chain 2, and repeat that for a total of 8 times around the ring. I'll show you what that looks like with the yarn. So we'll start with our chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and we'll double crochet in the ring, yarn over, insert your hook in the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 2. Now we'll do a 2 double crochet cluster in the ring, yarn over your hook, insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook. You now have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert your hook in the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. We now have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on our hook. And that's a 2 double crochet cluster. You want to repeat the chain 2, 2 double crochet cluster for a total of 8 chain 2 spaces and 8 clusters around. At the end of the round, we do our last chain 2 and slip stitch to the first stitch at the beginning of the round to join. And that's what the end of round 1 should look like. So now we'll come back to our chart and look at round 2. Starts with a chain 1 and single crochet in the first chain 2 space, chain 9, single crochet in the same chain 2 space, chain 5, single crochet in the next chain 2 space, chain 5, single crochet in the next chain 2 space, chain 9, and single crochet in the same chain 2 space. And we're going to repeat that all the way around, and then we're going to do something a little different for our last chain 5 space. So now we'll do that with the yarn, chain 1, single crochet in the first chain 2 space, chain 9, single crochet in the same chain 2 space, chain 5, single crochet in the next chain 2 space, chain 5, single crochet in the next chain 2 space, and chain 9, and single crochet in the same chain 2 space. And we're going to repeat this all the way around. For our last chain 5 space, we're going to replace it with a chain 2 and a double crochet to the first stitch at the beginning of the round to join, and that chain 2 double crochet counts as a chain 5 space, but what's unique about it is that it positions us into the top center of that chain space so that we can begin our next round in the center of the chain 5 space and not be stuck on either side of it. So this is what the end of round 2 should look like. Let's come back to the chart now, and so we're going to move ahead to round 3, and round 3 is in red. We're going to chain 1 and single crochet in that same chain 5 space, which was really chain 2 double crochet, and then in the next chain 9 space we're going to work 14 double crochets, then single crochet in the next chain 5 space, chain 5, single crochet in the next chain 5 space, 14 double crochets in the next chain 9 space, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. And let me show you what that looks like with the yarn now. So we'll chain 1 and single crochet in that same chain 5 space, and then work 14 double crochets in the next chain 9 space, yarn over your hook, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and through 2. And there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Single crochet in the next chain 5 space, chain 5, single crochet in the next chain 5 space, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. Last chain 5 space on round 3 is also going to be replaced with a chain 2 and double crochet in the first stitch at the beginning of the round, and that's so that we have the equivalent of a chain 5 space, but we're positioned in the top center of the space to begin the next round. And so now let's look at the chart for our fourth and final round, and that is to chain 1 and single crochet in that same chain 5 space, skip the first double crochet, then double crochet chain 1 in each of the next 5 stitches, double crochet in the next stitch, chain 3, double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, double crochet in the next stitch, and we're going to repeat the chain 1 double 5 times. Skip the last double crochet, single crochet, chain 7, single crochet in the next chain 5 space, and then we're going to repeat that all the way around. And I'll show you what that looks like with the yarn now. So we'll start with a chain 1 and single crochet in the first stitch. Then we're going to skip the first double crochet and double crochet in the next double crochet, chain 1. We want a total of 5 of these. Then we're going to double crochet in the next stitch, chain 3, double crochet in the next stitch, and then chain 1 double crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. single crochet in the next chain 5 space, chain 7, single crochet in the same space. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. And this is what the end of row 4 should look like. We'll look at it next to the chart. You can see how similar it really does look to the chart. So to make the triangular motif, you're going to be doing the exact same stitches we did for the square motif, but instead of doing 4 repeats of each round, we're only going to do 3 repeats of each round. And then for the half square, we're going to be doing it in rows instead of rounds. So it's the exact same stitches again, but done in 2 repeats instead of 3 or 4. And it's going to be done in rows instead of rounds. Next, I want to show you how to join the motifs together. So on any given motif, if you're joining on one side or 2, the join is always going to start at a corner. You'll do a chain 3 join in the corner. You'll do a slip stitch join in the second chain 1 space from the corner. You'll do a chain 7 join in the side here, a slip stitch join here, and then a chain 3 join here. So I'm going to show you how to join one motif to the other along one side now, just like I explained with the chart. So we'll come to 2 motifs. We've got this one completed, and we have this one completed up to one of those corners. So you know how in the corner we had a chain 3 space. So we're going to replace that with a chain 3 join now. So a chain 3 join is a chain 1, slip stitch to the adjacent motifs, chain 3 space in the corner. You can either choose to work into the large chain 3 space or into the center chain of the chain. It doesn't matter. Whichever way you do it is fine. I just suggest that you be consistent throughout your entire project. And then we'll chain 1 again. So that chain 1 slip stitch chain 1 counts as our chain 3 space and is now called a chain 3 join. So now we'll come back to our stitch pattern here, which is to double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and now in that second chain 1 space from the corner, we're going to replace it with a slip stitch join. So we're going to come back to the adjacent motif, skip the first chain 1 space, and in the second chain 1 space, we're going to slip stitch and then come back to our current working motif and work double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Then in the next chain 5 space, we'll work a single crochet, and now we're ready to do a chain 7 join, which is going to be a chain 3. And now we'll come back to our adjacent motif and find that chain 7 space, and we're going to slip stitch into the chain 7 space. You could either slip stitch into the actual center chain or right into the big open space of the chain 7 space. Doesn't matter, just whichever way you choose to do it. Be consistent throughout the whole project. Chain 3, and then we'll come back and single crochet in our same chain 5 space. So I want to show you what we've got here so far. We're working in our established pattern, plus we've done a chain 3 join in the corner, a slip stitch join along the side, and a chain 7 join in the center. We're now going to work in our established pattern again, but also do our slip stitch join and our chain 3 corner join. Okay, we're ready for our slip stitch join, which will be the second chain space from the corner. We'll come back to our working motif, work our last double crochet, chain 1. Now we're up to our corner, double crochet. The corner is chain 3, but we're going to replace our chain 3 with a chain 3 join, which is a chain 1, slip stitch into the adjacent motifs, chain 3 space, chain 1, then come back and continue in our established pattern for our current working motif. And I'm going to set this down now so you can see that we have both motifs joined along one side. Isn't that cool? So then you want to refer back to your schematics to see how many of the square motifs, how many of the triangular motifs, and how many of the half motifs you'll need for whichever size you are making to make the beautiful Sabrina crochet vest. If you have any questions about this tutorial, please leave them for me in the comments. Links to all of the items that we talked about today, the download pattern, layers crochet book, as well as Be So Sporty yarn are all available in the video description below. Check out the suggested videos at the end of this video where I show you lots of other wonderful playlists here on my YouTube channel where I have thousands of videos for you to choose from. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. I'll see you in the next video.